Borthakur IAS Academy, an endeavor of excellence.
Borthakur IAS Academy.
Hello everyone, welcome to Borthakur's IAS Academy, Northeast's premier institute for UPSC, APSC and NPSC preparations. I'm your friend Atreyi, and today I'm here with another segment of Current Affairs 365 dated 11th of June 2021. Please like and share this video and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram. So the first news of today is about the report of All India Survey on Higher Education. This has been released by the Union Education Minister for the year 2019-20. This report provides some key performance indicators on the current status of higher education of our country. And this is the 10th series of this report, which is released annually by the Department of Higher Education. So coming to the key points of this particular report, first is about the total student enrollment. And in the last 5 years, from 2015-16 to 2019-20, there has been a growth of 11.4% in student enrollment. The total enrollment in higher education, it stands for around 3.85 crore in 2019-20, and this is around 3.4%, 0.4% higher than the year 2018-19. To be precise, Uttar Pradesh has highest student enrollment in our country, which stands for 49.1% male and 50.9% female, followed by Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra. Then there is a mention of gross enrollment ratio, which has increased by 0.8% in 2019-20. Gross enrollment ratio, it is the number of students who have enrolled in a given level of education regardless of age, and this is expressed as a percentage of the official school age population corresponding to the same level of education. The percentage of students who belongs to the eligible age group enrolled in higher education for the year 2019-20 is 27.1%. So the gross enrollment ratio for the year 2019-20 is 27.1%. Then it has also emphasized on the percentage of female enrollment. There has been an overall increase of over 18% in female enrollment in the higher education compared to 2015-16. However, the share of girl students is lower in institutes of national importance, while female participation in professional courses is comparatively lower in comparison to the academic courses. Then there is a mention of the gender parity index, which is the ratio of the number of female students enrolled at primary, secondary and tertiary levels of education to the number of male students in each level. This for the year gender parity index for the year 2019-20 is 1.01% against 1% in 2018-19. It indicates an improvement in the relative access to higher education for females of eligible age groups compared to the males. Then coming to the number of teachers, okay, total number of teachers for higher education, it stands for around 15,03,156, and if we look at the ratio percentage, then we can see that 57.5% of the total number of teachers are male and 42.5% are female. The pupil teacher ratio in higher education is 26. There are some other initiatives also which are being taken for improvement of education sector. We'll have to make a mention of the National Education Policy 2020, which aims at increasing the GER, that is the gross enrollment ratio, by 50% in the year 2035. Then there is the Scheme for Promotion of Academic and Research Collaboration, which aims at improving the research ecosystem of India's higher educational institutions. Then we have the Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, which aims at providing strategic funding to higher educational institutions. And finally, there is the Prime Minister's Research Fellowship, which intends to attract talent pool of the country to doctoral programs for carrying out research in the cutting edge science and technology domains, which with a focus on national priorities. So moving ahead to the second news, it is about the roadmap for ethanol blending in India by 2025. This particular news will be tagged under the GS paper 3, Growth and Development, Environmental Pollution and Degradation. The Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, they had instituted an expert group which will study the issues like pricing of ethanol, matching pace of the automobile industry in order to manufacture vehicles, then supply of ethanol, pricing of such vehicles, then fuel efficiency of different engines, etc. Ethanol, we all know it is one of the principal biofuels which is naturally produced by the fermentation of sugars by yeast or by some chemical processes like petrochemical processes of ethylene hydration. The government of India has advanced the target for 20% ethanol blending in petrol to 2025 from 2030. Currently, 8.5% of ethanol is blended with petrol in our country. Now, what is the main objective behind this ethanol blending? First is energy security, because an increased use of ethanol can help reduce the oil import bills. And India's net import, it costs around USD 551 billion by in the year 2020-21. So if ethanol blending is practiced, okay, it can save up to rupees 30,000 crore per annum as per the E20 program. Then this will provide incentives for the farmers, as the oil companies procure ethanol from farmers, that benefits the sugarcane farmers. And further, the government, it plans to encourage the use of water saving crops like maize, which will produce ethanol and the production of ethanol from non-food feedstocks. This is also going to have a positive impact on the environment, because the use of ethanol blended petrol, it decreases emissions of carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons and nitrogen oxides. The unregulated carbonyl emissions like acetaldehyde emission were however higher with the E10 and E20 compared to the normal petrol, but still these emissions are relatively quite low. So there has been some recommendations when it comes to ethanol blending in our country. Okay, first is notifying the ethanol blending roadmap. As per the ministry, it should immediately notify the plan for pan-India availability of fuel and its continued availability thereafter until 2025. Then augmenting the infrastructure for oil marketing companies, because the oil marketing companies, it will need to prepare for the projected requirement of ethanol storage, and along with its storage, handling, blending and dispensing infrastructure will also be required. Then comes to the expediting regulatory clearances. Currently, ethanol production, it falls under the red category and will require environmental clearance under the Air and Water Acts for new and expansion projects. So these are some of the recommendations which can be practiced, okay, that will further enhance the process of ethanol blending in our country. However, there are many initiatives which has already been taken in our country. It includes the National Policy on Biofuels of 2018. It provides an indicative target of 20% ethanol blending under the Ethanol Blended Petrol Program of 2030. And then we have the E100 pilot project. It has been inaugurated in Pune, and the TVS Apache two-wheelers are designed to run on E80 or pure ethanol E100. Then we also have the Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Yojana of 2019. This scheme, it aims to create an ecosystem for setting up of commercial projects which will boost the R&D department in regard of the 2G ethanol sector. Now, the third news is about the Economist Intelligence Unit's Global Livability Index. This index is of 140 cities around the world, and this particular list, it takes into account the 30 qualitative and quantitative factors that spans over 5 broad categories. These categories includes stability, healthcare, culture and environment, education and infrastructure. Because of the pandemic, the Economist Intelligence Unit, they have added some new indicators like stress on healthcare resources, as well as restrictions around local sporting events, theaters, music concerts, restaurants and schools. Each of these factors, okay, in a city, it is rated as acceptable, tolerable, uncomfortable or intolerable. Now, coming to the general scenario of livability in most of the cities, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it has caused the livability to decline in most of the cities. As these cities, they experienced lockdowns and significant strains on their healthcare system, it has become quite difficult to survive in these places, okay, and this has led to an unprecedented level of change in the rankings. Many cities which used to be previously one of the top ranked, okay, they are seen to be tumbling this time in this particular list. And Austria's Vienna, which was number 1 in both 2018 and 19, it has completely dropped out of the top 10 after being heavily affected by COVID-19, and now it ranks 12th. Auckland, it rose to the top of the ranking. Okay, this owes to its successful approach in containing the COVID-19 pandemic. It has allowed its society to remain open and the city to score strongly on a number of factors, which includes education, culture, as well as environment. Damascus, it still remains the world's least livable city, as the effects of the civil war in Syria, it continues to take their toll. And most of the previous 10 least livable cities, they still remain in the bottom 10 this year. And this particular list, it includes Dhaka from Bangladesh and Karachi from Pakistan in the Asia Pacific region. However, there is a strong contingent of the cities in the Asia Pacific region at the top of the rankings, which includes Osaka, Adelaide, Tokyo, and Wellington, which comes in the top 5. Now, the top 3 livable cities, they are Auckland from New Zealand, Osaka, Japan, and Adelaide, Australia. And the bottom 3 livable cities are Damascus, Syria, Lagos, Nigeria, and Port Moresby from Papua New Guinea. The next news is about the Hindu-Kush Himalayan region. Okay, as per United Nations Development Program, this mountain range, it could lose up to 2/3 of its ice by the next century, and this is going to affect around 2 billion people who may face scarcity of food and water. Coming to this region, Hindu-Kush Himalayan mountain, it is referred to as the third pole on the earth, as it is spread over 3,500 square kilometers and covers 8 countries, which includes India, Nepal, and China. It contains the world's third largest storage of frozen water after Antarctica and Arctic. Over 240 million people, they live in this mountain region. Okay, and the food grown in these basins, they reaches up to 3 billion people. The glaciers, approximately, they feed at least 10 major river systems which have bearings on agricultural activities, drinking water, and hydroelectricity production of these regions. The main challenges that the Himalayan mountain range is facing is that, as per the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development's assessment, this region, it will continue to warm through the 21st century, even if the world is able to limit the global warming at the agreed temperature level, that is 1.5 degrees Celsius. It was decided in the Paris Agreement, right, that they will try to reduce the global greenhouse gas emissions, which will be an effort to limit the global temperature increase in this century to 2 degrees centigrade above the pre-industrial levels. And they will also pursue the means to limit the increase up to 1.5 degrees centigrade. So here, the warming in this Hindu-Kush Himalayan region, it is likely to be at least 0.3 degrees higher than the decided level of 1.5 degree centigrade. The main threat to this region is the loss of substantial part of the cryosphere in the next decades, and thus there will be shortage of water stability. This will lead to increased water stress in the high mountain areas. And cryosphere, it comprises the portions of the Earth's surface where water is present in solid form. That can be sea ice, the ice present in rivers, lakes, snow cover, glaciers, ice caps, etc. What is the main cause of melting of glaciers here in this particular region? The first driving force is the anthropogenic modifications, that is, those are influenced by human beings. Okay, and secondly, since this region, it lies downwind from some of the most heavily polluted places on the earth, these threatens the agriculture, climate, as well as monsoon patterns of the mountain region. So these are the main reasons why the glaciers are melting at a faster rate. It has been recommended that there should be a shift from the use of fossil fuels in energy, transport, and other sectors, and also a change in diets and agricultural practices will be necessary to move to the net zero emissions of greenhouse gases. Then in the countries which are present in this region, okay, they also needs to reduce their emissions of black carbon and other air pollutants. So some of the suggested policies and actions in order to mitigate this problem includes the farmers. Okay, here they can play a significant role and in using some locally appropriate water storage solutions, and they will need our support in that, right? And also they can shift to some agricultural practices which consumes lesser amount of water. Then there is the need of designs of new hydropower plants and grids which will take into account the changing climate and water availability. And lastly, data and information capacity building and early warning systems and infrastructure designs will be needed. Okay, and the current facilities, they should be improved, and this calls for some sufficient funding and large scale coordination among the various ministries which are involved in this. There are some initiatives which are being already taken by our country. So first we'll have to make a mention of the National Mission on Sustaining Himalayan Ecosystem. It is one of the 8 missions under the National Action Plan on Climate Change. The mandate here is to evolve measures to sustain and safeguard the Himalayan glaciers, mountain ecosystems, biodiversity, and protection of wildlife there. Then there is an intergovernmental organization, that is the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development. It is mainly working for the people of Hindu Kush Himalaya. It is based in Kathmandu, Nepal, and works for the 8 member countries. They are Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, China, India, Myanmar, Nepal, and Pakistan. So here you can see the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, okay, the part in green, and the number of countries which are related. Along with that, you can also see the major river basins and the rivers. So you can see that melting of ice in this particular region, it can affect the population of all these related nations, and it is a huge amount. Okay, so it is going to have a negative impact on so many lives. So this was all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this was useful for you all. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll see you all again tomorrow with another session of Current Affairs 365 only on Borthakur's IAS Academy, Northeast's premier institute for UPSC, APSC and NPSC preparations. And also I would like to inform you that the monthly Current Affairs magazine for the month of May is available now. Okay, so you can get your copy from the WhatsApp number which is flashing right now on your screen. Till then, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Borthakur IAS Academy প্রস্তুতি আৰু অধ্যয়নৰ নিৰ্ভৰযোগ্য ঠিকনা
Borthakur IAS Academy